Hi, today I'm going to talk about Alekhine's defence. Just before I start, I'm always amazed how few people, particularly at club level, simply don't have any good system against Alekhine's defence. What is also even more strange is people tend to fear playing against it. I suspect it's probably because it's seen as a bit of an offbeat opening and people more haven't bothered to learn a system rather than think it's that difficult to play against. But I've got a nice easy system here for anyone who doesn't have anything particularly good against the Alekhine. A very simple system, easy to remember, and gets you a reasonably good position pretty much by force. So let's have a look at it. E4, knight f6. E5, knight d5, d4, d6. Then we play c4, knight b6. So all very normal, the same thing that's played in probably 90% of Alekhine games. And what I'm recommending is the exchange variation. But I'm recommending a specific setup with the white pieces within the exchange variation. So pawn takes pawn, the exchange variation. Now, if black captures with the e-pawn, it's a whole nother story. That's another game. I'm not going to be discussing this here. But what I'll say is that this is a relatively easy position for white to play. White just develops sensibly and you'll get a positional closed type position. A lot of manoeuvring, but white should be on top for most of it. The main line is to recapture with the c-pawn, and the vast majority of Alekhine players who are playing to win with the Alekhine will take with the c-pawn. Now, the system I want to show you is a variation where you develop your queenside pieces first. You play this position on the queenside, get all the queenside pieces out before you even develop a kingside piece. So it's kind of a little bit, I suppose, illogical sound, a bit illogical in the way it sounds. But nevertheless, it's been producing very good results both at Grandmaster level and club level. So knight c3. Now, g6, the main line, what most Alekhine players are playing now. Bishop e3. So again, another queenside piece. The idea is you've got a majority here, 4 pawns versus 3, and you'll need to push these through. Otherwise, if you let these, if you do nothing with these, you may even cop a minority attack at some point, but probably more likely than not, black will just push through and equalise quite quickly. So bishop e3, so you're really accelerating this majority of pawns. Bishop g7, rook c1, really getting behind your extra pawn. Now, when I say your extra pawn, whenever I'm coaching anybody and they ask which one is your extra pawn, the extra pawn is always the pawn without an opponent. So in this position, your extra, I'll take some pieces off just to explain this. Your extra pawn in this position is this pawn because it has no opponent. So this is the one that's probably most likely to reach the queening square. Black's extra pawn is this one, the e-pawn, because that's the one without an opponent. So we'll put the pieces back on the board. I just wanted to show you to explain that. Oops. So our knight's here. So we played knight out g6 here, and now rook c1, getting behind the extra pawn. Castles, and now b3. Now this is a critical position. Here is probably the most common place for black to go wrong. If black plays a very standard move, knight c6, black's in big trouble now. Now it's becoming evident why the rook move was important. We can push d5 and there's no problem with the knight. The rook defends the knight. Of course, if black plays this, black is in enormous trouble. White's got the bishop pair in an open position. Black's kingside's completely denuded, and in fact it's like Swiss cheese. There's holes everywhere. So black will be in big trouble if they do that, but actually black is in quite a bit of trouble if they allow this in the first place. This space advantage for white is going to be very, very difficult for black to do anything at all about. Knight moves here, you may decide this followed by this, or even more sensibly just develop pieces and plan for that later. Perhaps bishop e3 and push that later on. You don't even need to get the knight out of the centre yet, and the threat's often bigger than the execution. Big problem is that if black decides to eliminate the weak e-pawn, they weaken their own d-pawn after an exchange here. So a very easy position for black to go wrong. But of course a player who knows the Alekhine well is going to play the right move, and that's e5. Now here you've got pretty much one move. You swap pawns. And now you've got two variations, both of which are okay. If you want to play the game without the queens on the board, you just swap queens. And you follow up with c5. So very useful, just a strong attack down the queen side. Knight moves here, bishop c4. And now your kingside pieces start coming into the game. Bishop c4, knight f3, castle. If you want a castle, you may even be able to leave the king in the centre, but you quickly storm your queenside pawns down the board. This is a classic case of what they call a queenside pawn majority. Very, very strong, throw the pawns down the board very, very quickly. The other line is simply where you play c5 anyway. Where's this? That's here. Where you simply play c5 anyway, leaving the queens on the board. So knight will move here, and exactly the same moves. Bishop c4, and you'll get your knight out next. Here, queen often comes out to a5. Tend to prefer the queen takes queen variation. It just looks like white has more of a solid advantage to go into the endgame. Here, I think black tends to have a few tricks maybe. But in any case, both plans are okay, and they probably haven't shut the Alekhine out of business. It's looking like white's doing very, very well at the moment in this line. Hopefully it's given you an option against Alekhines which you otherwise would not have had. Thank you.